The Man United team is starting to shape up very, very nicely. Now that we've got the Mbeumo deal done, now we've got the Cunha deal done, we're getting some outgoings as well. Rashford is obviously set to leave. Sancho looks set to leave soon, hopefully. Antony's probably going to leave soon. We've got Garnacho and obviously Malacia. We are starting to take shape. What looked like a good transfer window in the beginning, you know, real intent by signing Cunha. Then we slowed down with that Mbeumo deal, which was extremely embarrassing in terms of taking our time with it. It looked like it was always going to happen, but how long are we going to wait, you know? And now that we've got that out of the way, now we've got the Mbeumo deal over the line, you start to see reports that we haven't seen before in the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Reports were so dry. We weren't getting anything. Journalists were baffled. What is this team doing? What is this club doing? Nothing is coming out. It seemed like we were just working on Mbeumo and nothing else. But now that that's, you know what it's like? It's like a dam has been blocked or a drain has been blocked and you've just unplugged it now and everything has started to flow. Suddenly we're getting links left, right and centre. And today I'm going to be covering the 3 players that Man United should sign next. Now, I did a video similar to this early in the window. You know, a lot can change in a month and a half. And it has changed a lot, to be fair. You know, signings that we thought we were going to make have ended up going to other clubs. We've kind of distanced ourselves from other players. And, you know, other players have come into the frame. So today I'm going to be covering, like I said, 3 signings in 3 different positions. If we add these 3 players alongside Cunha and Mbeumo, and I'm also, by the way, going to give up backup options and ideal options. And I'm going to be going through more than just 3 players, but it's mainly these 3 positions. I'm going to be talking a bit about each one. I've done my research. I've gone away. I've seen how they'd fit in the team. And like I said, if we cover these 3 positions as well as Cunha and Mbeumo, then I'm looking at a very, very good window, especially if we get the 5 players that are obviously on the transfer list out. So let's just get straight into the video. Obviously, it's no news that I'm not Onana's biggest fan. I think you're not Onana's biggest fan. And when I talk about Onana, obviously I'm talking about Andre Onana, not the one who plays for Aston Villa, who we probably need in our midfield. No, I'm talking about Andre Onana, who plays for Man United. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper, he just doesn't... He's a goalkeeper that's not a goalkeeper. He's a goalkeeper that's a playmaker. It doesn't make sense. But anyways, he's in goal right now. Well, actually, he's not, because he's actually injured. So for the whole of pre-season, I think he's going to miss it. He's going to be out on the sidelines. And Bayinda, good dude. Like, you are a good-looking guy. You're probably good for modelling or whatever. You're not good for Manchester United. I'll be honest with you. Tom Heaton, in that game against Leeds, in that second half, wow, I would not be, you know, opposed to putting him in goal for the rest of the season in front of Onana. But anyways, that's besides the point. 2 main front runners are leading the race to be Manchester United's goalkeeper. So, who are they? Obviously, we've got Onana. So, do we go for a direct replacement? Do we try and sell Onana? Or do we try and bench Onana and just replace him directly? If that's the case, if that's what we're going to do, then of course, you guys are familiar already. You already know who I'm probably going to put in here. It is Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez has been linked with the club for basically the whole of the transfer window. He's been linked even before, you know, I think his agent has really been trying to get him to Man United. I think Emi Martinez really wants to come to Man United. And to be honest, it makes sense. I told you guys earlier in the window, I think bringing that character, bringing that leadership, those cojones, that kind of gritty player that we've missed. I feel like we're a bunch of nice guys. We don't really have that grit. We don't really have that, you know, back against the wall determination, back against the wall mentality. Just a really, really nasty guy on the pitch. Sometimes you need that. And I think we're getting that a little bit with Cunha, which is a good signing. But I also think we need that in goal, especially in goal. You know, goalkeepers are such a big position in the team. They're always shouting. They're commanding the back line. They're coming out and, you know, you have to basically make that area, that box, yours. And you can't be a nice guy and do it. So, Emi Martinez definitely fits that criteria. Obviously, World Cup winner is a bit of a shit house, and we do like that. And like I've told you guys before, it's no secret, I'm an Emi Martinez fan. Right now at Man United, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Right now at Man United in a goalkeeper position, I just need a safe pair of hands. Has he got mistakes in him? Yes. Every single goalkeeper in history has had mistakes in them. Van der Sar had a mistake in him. De Gea, when he was at his prime, had mistakes. Neuer has mistakes. Everyone has mistakes. Buffon. But I just need a safe pair of hands. I need someone who has command of their area. I need someone who's going to be a leader on the pitch, set example, and give the defense that assurance that they haven't had for a while. Every time Onana makes a mistake, you can just see his teammates looking at him and being like, bro, like, this is why we don't trust you. This is why no one trusts you. So, right now, I don't really care about press resistant, direct balls, can do 5 kick-ups and then flick it over someone's head. I don't really care about all that. I just want a safe pair of hands, and that's probably why we're linked with Emi Martinez. But like I mentioned, he is someone who's probably going to come in and directly replace Onana. He's not someone that's going to sit on the bench. He's not someone that's going to wait for his opportunity and then come in. He's going to want to start, and that means we put Onana on the bench, which is a risk, because can we sell Onana then? You know, we've got basically a 50 or 60 million pound goalkeeper just rotting away on the bench. So it is a risk, but it's a risk that we're going to have to take, and it might decrease his value in the market. You know, you can't really go out and sell a second goalkeeper for as much money as you could for a first choice goalkeeper. But that's besides the point. Emi Martinez has been on Man United's transfer list for a while, but who is the other goalkeeper that's established himself and, to be fair, I think is the more likely option in this transfer window? And that is Sen Lemons. I've never heard of them. Is it Lemons? Is it Lamons? I don't really know. And to be honest, I don't really care. Like I said, safe pair of hands. He plays for Royal Antwerp, I believe, a club that actually used to be a feeder club to Man United, or like a, you know, that brother-sister relationship. I don't know what they call it, partnership, where we used to send all types of players on loan to them. I think Richie Delat went on loan to them at one point. But anyways, besides the point, we're no longer working with them, but maybe we should be working with them because they've got a goalkeeper in Lamens who is highly rated in terms of young goalkeepers. He's young for a goalkeeper as well. He's about 23 years of age. He is huge. I watched a few of his highlights. He is really, really big. Again, really young. I think this is an option for Man United to come in as second choice, someone who's going to sit on the bench, doesn't really mind sitting on the bench to develop. And then as soon as Onana makes a few mistakes, which we know is going to happen, like it is clockwork, death, taxes, Onana mistake, it's going to happen. As soon as he makes those mistakes, Ruben Amorim then has an opportunity to bench him and then put in Lamens or put in that second choice goalkeeper. I think we were even linked with Suzuki, the goalkeeper from Japan, I believe. I think his name is Suzuki. We were linked with him to be that second choice goalkeeper who could potentially be first choice. I think Lamens has made himself the front runner for that particular option, mainly because how cheap he is. He's about 17 to 20 million pounds, which isn't a lot at all. You know, not going to break the bank. Again, happy to sit in that number 2 position until he gets this opportunity and then starts for Man United. And like I said, I've watched his highlights. He's good. He's got a good pass on him. He's got a good diag. I would like to see him command his area a little bit more when he comes to catch crosses. And maybe this is just from the limited clips that I've seen from him, because to be fair, there isn't that many clips out there. But when he comes to catch the cross, you guys will see it as well. It's almost as if he catches it, drops it, and then catches it again. But it all happens very, very quickly. So you don't really see. You kind of have to pay attention to it. But I'd like to see him work on his catching. I think his catching ability is something that I definitely want him to improve on. But to be fair, other than that, he seems like a solid goalkeeper. Listen. Anyone other than Onana is where I'm at right now. Genuinely, anyone other than Onana and Bayinde. Because how was Onana that bad? Then Bayinde comes in and he's equally as bad. Like, just get me a good goalkeeper, please. That's all I ask for. So, for now, I'm going to put Lamens in that position because I do feel like he's the more realistic option in this particular moment. Like I said, he's happy to be second choice, can play first choice, hopefully, is cheaper than Martinez, and obviously his wages will be much, much lower. So let's keep Lamens in that position for now. Obviously, the next position that you can see is that centre mid. Let's talk a little bit about the centre mid. You saw Ruben Amorim say that we need more pace in the centre of the field, and we do. Like, if you've watched Man United throughout the past 6 months, if you watched that preseason game against Leeds, you'd know our midfield is always overrun. Our midfield can't keep up. And the annoying part is we've got so many different types of profiles of players, and none of them seem to match in that midfield. We know Bruno Fernandes is going to start. So we need to look at now who complements Bruno Fernandes the best. So you've got Kobbie Mainoo in there. Kobbie Mainoo lacks the ability to run as much. He's not the biggest runner. He's more of a guy who places himself very intelligently, places himself in the right position. Obviously, he's a great player in his own respect. I'm a big, big fan of Kobbie Mainoo. Casemiro is there just to crunch. He doesn't really do much else. Can't pass, can't progress with the ball. Obviously, losing his legs, so can't run as much. Ugarte is good with legs. Obviously, he's very, very good on the press. He runs a lot. He gets a lot of tackles in, but where Ugarte fails is that technical side where he can't really take the ball and drive us up the pitch. He can't really run past a few players. So we're looking at someone who can attack, who can drive us up the pitch. So that means I'm not really looking for like an eye of the needle pass, because we've got that in Bruno. Bruno is going to do all of that creativity stuff. I just need someone who can do the dog work up and down, but can also drive us up the pitch, who can tackle and also stop transitions and just read the game really, really well. So it is a very, very specific position that we're looking at, and there aren't that many options, but a few have come to mind. Firstly, and this is the most ideal option, this I would do anything for. I genuinely, like, if we get this player, then I would absolutely lose my mind, but it's a very unrealistic option. So I'm just going to speak about him a little bit and then move on. A lot of you probably already know, but it is Carlos Baleba from Brighton and Hove Albion. What a player this guy is. He is, whoever gets him is genuinely the luckiest club on the planet. Like, I'm so jealous of Brighton for having him. I'm so jealous of Lille for having him before Brighton. And I'm so jealous of the next team that he's going to go to after Brighton. He is going to cost an arm and a leg. Brighton are very good at that. Obviously, he came in to replace Caicedo, who, by the way, we had the chance to sign. Let's not get into that. Brighton sign him, turn him into an incredible player. Obviously, goes for over 100 million to Chelsea. Then to replace him, they brought in Baleba. Baleba is absolutely unbelievable. This guy eats ground up like it's nothing. He runs up and down the pitch. He has the ability to stop transitions. He has the ability to stop counter-attacks. Can tackle extremely well. Is ever present in that midfield. Hardly ever gets overrun or outplayed. You never really see him struggle. And crucially, can take the ball and drive his team up the pitch. Single-handedly, can just take the ball, go past one or two players, push them off, shove them off, and drive up the pitch. So that's that type of midfielder that I'm looking at. This guy, Baleba, is the best at that as a whole. There are other options that which I'm going to bring to the table, and I don't think this is the most realistic option, so he's not going to be in the starting 11. But that's the type of mold that we're looking for, and there's no one better in the Premier League, potentially even in world football, at a young age, not an established player. You know, we're looking for someone who's going to grow into the team. Dan Baleba. Baleba is that type of midfielder, and he's unreal at it. So Baleba would be absolutely ideal. I don't think he's going to go anywhere this transfer window. I don't think he's going to go anywhere this summer. It's probably a next season signing for whoever gets him. And I'd like to think Man United can be in that race, but realistically, you know, you've got Liverpool who are probably going to look for a midfielder. You've got City potentially looking for a midfielder if they lose Rodri next season. You've got Chelsea who are just going to sniff around. Arsenal love signing midfielders. So there's going to be a lot of competition. And to be fair, we don't know how Man United are going to do next season. So it might not be that appealing of a move for Carlos Baleba. But what a player he is. I would love to see him at Man United. Him and Bruno together. Wow, he literally just covers everything that Bruno is bad at. But like I said, he's not the most realistic. So who have I got as a second option? Well, it is someone that you guys probably don't know about. It is Hayden Hackne, who plays for Middlesbrough, who are coached by Michael Carrick. I think they're still coached by Michael Carrick, or has he left? Has he stepped down? Anyway, he was coached at one point, potentially is still coached by Michael Carrick. He is a defensive midfielder, so he's more on the defensive side, but if you watch his highlights, this guy is incredible at getting the ball and driving up the pitch. He might not be as good as Baleba in terms of reading the counter-attacks, stopping the counter-attacks before they even break away. Like, Baleba's incredible at that. Hayden Hackney might not be as good as Baleba at that particular trait, but he is amazing at driving with the ball. He always looks for the forward pass as well. I absolutely love that. That's something that Michael Carrick was amazing in. And to be fair, shout out to Stretford Paddock and shout out to Carl Anker, who I think he's a journalist for The Athletic. They had like an exclusive with him and he broke down basically this, exactly what I'm talking about what type of midfielder we need, and he brought to the table Baleba and he brought to the table Hayden Hackney. So he speaks much better than I do about Hayden Hackney. But like I said, from what I've seen of him, great at progressing the ball. Bro, this guy is insane at running past players from such a deep position, almost like a Frankie de Jong, almost like taking that ball, isn't the biggest, isn't the most bolo, isn't the strongest player in the world, but still very direct, and his passes always go forward. And to be fair, one trait that I did pick up that I really like about him as well, his passes, although they go forward as well, he's really good at finding the options out wide, which we know in an Amorim system is going to be extremely essential. You know, you've got Dorgu who's probably going to be overlapping on the left, and you've got Ahmad who's going to be overlapping on the right, and whoever else could come in and obviously do that. We know wing play is extremely important in an Amorim system, so we need a player like that. Now, he is in the Championship. He does play for Middlesbrough, but we've seen Crystal Palace do this. We've seen Crystal Palace pick up Elise, Eze, Adam Wharton from the Championship and sell them on for 50, 60 million pounds, turn them into 50, 60 million pounds players. And obviously Wharton is apparently going to go for 100 million pounds. So there's no reason why Man United can't do it. I don't see why we have to go and get the most established talent. What if we get someone who could be turned into a 60, 50, 70 million pound player and just bring them in when they're 15 or 20 million? There's no problem with that at all. And that's what I do think he will cost. I think he will cost about 15, 20, potentially 25 million pounds because Man United tax. I do hear it, but he is young. He's 23 years old. I think he's going to develop into an outstanding player. Genuinely, I really like the look of him. And if we don't go in for him, then I'm certain another Premier League club will, whether it be this summer, next summer, or in the summer after that. I do think he's going to get a Premier League move very soon. And if he ends up costing 100 million pounds or 50 or 60 million pounds and United are in for him, then I'm going to be pissed. Now, obviously, Baleba and Hackney are the ideal scenarios, in my opinion. But I don't think Man United can come out of this transfer window without signing a midfielder. So I'm going to give two more options. And these options aren't really like my first choice, but they're options that are better than what we currently have. So that being said, if we don't get Hackney, and if we, obviously we're not going to get Baleba, so let's put that aside. I don't know why we haven't shown interest in Pellini. You know, he's gotten that move to Bayern Munich. Hasn't gone the best for him. Is rumoured to go to Spurs. I don't know why we're not in for this, because I don't remember, when this guy was at Fulham, I don't remember many better at him than winning that ball back. If you just want a ball-winning midfielder who, again, can drive up the pitch and then send it off to the more creative players, there aren't many in the league, or they weren't many in the league, better than Joao Pellini. I would love to see us linked with this guy for those reasons. When compared to everyone else that I've mentioned, when compared to Baleba, Hackney, and who I'm going to mention later, this guy is the most physical. Physicality is something we lack big in the midfield. You look at the frame. Bruno isn't the biggest. Ugarte isn't the biggest. Menu isn't the biggest. You've got Collier, who is a ground eater in his own respect and his own right, and is probably on the bigger side, which is good, taller, of course. You've got Casemiro, who, although is that kind of player, his legs are gone, so it lets him down. Pellini is both combined. He can do the running. You know, he's still got the legs in him to do that, but he's also got the physicality. He's a huge player. Like I said, if you need someone to just win that ball back, stop counter-attacks, and just be in the right place at the right time, then I'd like to see us even inquire or be linked with Pellini. Now, if we don't manage to get Pellini, who is another player we can get? Well, to that, I say Douglas Luiz. We know we're speaking to Juventus already when it comes to Jadon Sancho. We spoke to them briefly about Rashford, but obviously Rashford has gone to Barcelona. But when it comes to Jadon Sancho, I don't know why we don't say, all right, cool, you take Sancho, but also a nice on a deal on Douglas Luiz, because Sancho's going to leave regardless. Let's try and get something out of it. Douglas Luiz hasn't had the best time at Juventus, similar to Joao Pellini at Bayern Munich. He hasn't had the best time at Juve. I think he wants to leave. I think he's kind of dropped indications here and there that he kind of wants to leave. The only concern I have around him is his injury record. He has been out of games a lot with Juventus, but at the same time, it's no reason why we shouldn't sign him, because at Aston Villa, he was fairly fit. And again, another player that has the legs, when fit, has the legs to win the ball back, progress forward passing, again, really, really good at those diag passes, really good at just getting the ball forward, again, can progress the ball better than our current players. And like I said, we're looking for that mold of midfielder who is good at progressing the ball but can also do the defensive work, and he's better at that than our current crop of players. So why not? You know, like I said, he's not my first choice. My first choice realistically would be probably a Hayden Hackney, who isn't, by the way, he's not the finished article, he's not the finished product. But I don't see why we don't play him here for now, because like I said, it will be a disaster if we leave this transfer window without signing a midfielder. So why not get him in for now and then look maybe in a January or next season to get the ideal midfielder who, when Hayden Hackney can then turn into a squad option. That's how you get better. You make your first team players into squad options. So why don't we do it in this particular scenario? So as you can see, we've got Lamens, we've got Hackney, and up top, I did say in my last video, everything I've been saying has kind of been coming to, you know, to reality, you know. I might know what I'm talking about. I don't know. But anyways, I did say that I would like to see a front runner now for the striker position. We've been linked with a lot of different strikers. We had obviously Gyökeres, we had Cesco, we had Watkins, we had Mateta, we had Jackson, we had Mitrovic, we had all types of strikers. 3 now apparently are being discussed internally with Manchester United. Manchester United's board. Ben Jacobs is reporting this, and obviously Fabrizio Romano is reporting this. The first choice, the one that is the most ideal player for the striking position, is someone who is very, very sought after, someone who's very, very well known. It is Benjamin Cesco. Benjamin Cesco is probably that mold of striker where he is next up. You know, he's going to get that big move next up. He is, if you're looking for a striker, if you're a club who says, okay, we've identified we need a player in that 9 position, someone who's younger than the age of 23, 24, someone who can come in and will grow and will turn into a world beater in the next few years, you're looking at Benjamin Cesco. Arsenal were obviously linked with him. Arsenal really wanted him. Apparently he was their first choice, but they couldn't get the deal over the line with Leipzig, who are notoriously very, very hard to work with. But does that mean that Man United can't get him? Yes and no. Now, Leipzig aren't going to be the easiest club to work with. That's true. Rightfully, they're going to want a big fee for him because, like I said, he is that guy that you're looking at. He is next up. It's kind of like everyone's stocks are in this guy. And rightfully so. He is a really good player. Tall. He's strong. He brings that physicality. Really, really good finisher. Really techie as well. The way that his types of finishes are incredible. And like I said, he was Arsenal's first choice. It's no, secret. They couldn't get him, so they went for Gyökeres. But Arsenal not getting him could be a benefit to Manchester United. What do I mean? There aren't other clubs going to Leipzig and saying, well, we'll pay this and we'll pay that. Leipzig, no. Their best chance of selling Cesco this season was to Arsenal. They know that. Arsenal were really, really interested. They wanted him. They started speaking. They started negotiations. It just didn't work out. So now they might be thinking, we can't get another opportunity at selling this guy because no one else has really shown major interest in Cesco. Liverpool didn't really show any interest in him. Chelsea haven't shown any interest in him. And no other team that wants a striker has shown interest. It's literally only Man United. So that could change Leipzig's energy. Leipzig might not move like they're so entitled. They don't have the power position anymore. They're not in the power position because they're like, damn, maybe we really wanted money for this guy, but there isn't enough interest now. Like there aren't that many suitors. So Man United can use that to their advantage, hopefully drive the price down because there is a lack of competition. And Cesco is open to the move. You know, we've had some really, really good reporters say that he is open to the move to Man United. I think he grew up supporting Man United. Honestly, where would we be without Man United heritage? Genuinely, like, Mbeumo wanted to come to United because he supported United growing up. Thank you, Cristiano Ronaldo. Thank you, Cantona. Thank you, Rooney. Thank you... it stops there because after 2013, 2014, we were an absolute shambles. But regardless, Cesco would be the prime choice. He's probably going to cost, I don't know, 70, 80 million pounds. It's not going to be an easy deal to do at all. But Cesco is the front runner. Internally at Man United, I think he is the front runner as well. The next two options are probably if we can't get Cesco, but still they have been discussed internally at Manchester United. Who are they? So the first one is someone that I've spoken about before as well, is Ollie Watkins. We know, similar to Martinez, Watkins and Martinez want out of Aston Villa. They want to leave the club. They want to go on to, you know, bigger teams or whatever it is. Watkins is a player I really, really like. He's good on the ball. Again, he's physical. He's big. Great finisher. Really, really good worker as well. You know, he's going to press from the front. He's going to lead by example. He's going to try and win that ball back as much as possible. He's going to be a nuisance to defenders, which is ideal. And, of course, the biggest factor is that he's Premier League proven. He's done it in the Premier League multiple seasons. The only thing about Watkins, obviously, he's 29 years old, so he's not a long-term replacement. He's someone that you're looking in that, okay, I need goals now. I need someone to come in and do a job for me right now for the next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, potentially even 4 seasons, probably not. But regardless, you need someone for the now whilst you look at that future option. Whereas Cesco, you're hoping if he hits the ground running, then why can't this be the guy who's going to lead your line for the next 10 years? You know, that's what you're looking at. When you're trying to pay 70, 80 million pounds, you're looking at someone for the next 10 years rather than the next 1 or 2 years. Watkins would be a shorter term replacement, but not as short term as we've seen previously. You know, Cavani, Igalo, he wouldn't be in that mold. But 29, you bring him in. Hopefully, he's at his peak still. You know, injury record relatively good. You know, he hasn't been that injured. Hopefully, he comes in, hits the ground running, and does well. I wouldn't be opposed to this. I really like Ollie Watkins. I think in a 3 with Mbeumo and Cunha, he'd bring them in really, really well as well. That's one thing I love about him. He's really good at link-up play. And he is just a technical striker, which I really love. Now, if we don't get Watkins, I think this will be our third option. And that is not my favourite option out of the list, but still an option that I wouldn't really mind. It is Nicholas Jackson. Again, someone who is on the younger side. I think he's 24 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Funny enough, look, he gets a bad rep. Jackson gets a really bad rep. You know, he can't finish. He doesn't score. To be fair, that's a bit of a myth because he has scored over 20-something goals in the past 2 seasons. So it's not that he can't score, but his finishing isn't as good as it should be for a striker. I think that's the big thing. I think he misses a lot of chances where he should bury them. There's a lot of funny videos out there where he's literally right in front of the goal and he misses it. But if you speak to a lot of Chelsea fans, they really like this guy. He's really dangerous. He runs the right, you know, channels. He runs the channels really well. He makes the right moves. He's a nuisance to the defense. He's a headache for the defenders. You know, we even saw, who was it? Hasselbank, I think, come out recently and say, listen, I really, really like Jackson. If you're a striker, if you know what strikers are good at and what they should be good at and the runs they should make, you know that Nicholas Jackson is a good player. And to be fair, like I said, I've spoken to Chelsea fans that are like, bro, I don't really want to get rid of this guy. Like, he is a good player. Like I said, his finishing does let him down sometimes. But I do wonder if he plays in a system that really accommodates to him. If he's the main man, if he doesn't feel like, you know, there's someone breathing down his neck all the time. He's going to get replaced if he doesn't score. Or, you know, Chelsea are always looking for a number 9. It seems like every summer they're looking for a number 9. Then potentially, could he be that guy? Like, I listen to a lot of people speak about him. I watch all these scout reports about him. And everyone says that he does everything really, really well. He's good at things that other strikers who are way better than him aren't good at. You know, there is a player in there. There's definitely a player in there. Can we unlock him? That's the big thing. And I don't know if Manchester United can unlock him, but I'm not opposed to the move. Like I said, similar to the goalkeeping position where Onana's in goal, I'd take anyone over Højlund right now. If you can guarantee me 10, 15 league goals right now, I'd take it in a heartbeat, honestly. Again, on the younger side, 24, I think 25 years old. This is just a question of how much would Chelsea want for him. Apparently, we heard they wanted up to 100 million pounds. I don't believe that. I think they'd probably take about 40 or 50 million pounds. Let's see. Again, not my first option. My first option would be Cesco. So for that reason, I am going to put Cesco in there. And to be fair, I don't think it's the most unrealistic target. Like I said, with the lack of competition, I do think Leipzig would be more inclined to sell. And listen, if we can put together a package deal that benefits us, that benefits this transfer window, and honestly, with the outgoings that we've been pushing out recently, and that we seem that we're gonna push on to get out of the club, then we're saving a lot in wages. We're bringing in money that we can then turn into, spending on more players. Then I don't see why we can't push on and get a Cesco, especially when we're doing deals like we did for Mbeumo, where we're taking the transfer fee and we're dividing it into 4 installments. So technically we're only paying about 16 or 17 million pounds for Mbeumo. Hopefully we can find a similar deal for Cesco. But yeah guys, these would be my 3 players. Like I mentioned, Lamens in goal, however you pronounce his name. These are the most realistic that I think we can get done this particular summer, but not the most, they're not my first choice, but still really good options, genuinely. Lamens would be in goal. Hayden Hackne would be in that centre midfield, hopefully the more defensive central midfielder, and then Benjamin Cesco up top. If not Benjamin Cesco, then I'd definitely take Ollie Watkins. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts below. If I've missed out on any players, of course, please try and be as realistic as possible. I'm not trying to hit Osimhen because that's just not going to happen. Be as realistic as possible. Let me know your thoughts, and I will speak to you, hopefully, with more breaking news and more news around the club very, very, very soon.